Rudy Giuliani went after Hillary Clinton on Bill O'Reilly's show here. Let's watch.
If you're talking about doing what she wants to do, which is to rally our forces against ISIS, you got to come back to the White House, you got to sit in the Situation Room, and you can't leave until you come out with a plan.
Well, he doesn't want to do that. Barack Obama doesn't want to rally anybody.
She had her chance to do it. She helped create ISIS. I mean, Hillary Clinton could be considered a founding member of ISIS.
How did she help? Because we have a guy, an expert coming on about ISIS. How did she help ISIS?
By being part of an administration that withdrew from Iraq. By being part of an administration that let Maliki run Iraq
into the ground.
Into the ground, so you forced the Shiites to make a choice. By not intervening in Syria at the proper time. By being part of an administration that drew 12 lines in the sand
and didn't do anything. But remember, and I want to be fair to Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, she could not force Barack Obama to do anything. The only thing she could have done was resign.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Which is what a patriot does.
Okay.
What a fucking goofball this guy is. So he says Hillary Clinton helped create ISIS, and she could be considered a founding member of ISIS. Oh, please. Now, you ready for the curveball I'm going to throw at you? Is that how you throw a curve? Like that? Kind of true. But true not for the reasons he's stating. So if he's right, he's basically right by accident. Because Hillary Clinton can be considered a founding member of ISIS, and you could say she helped create ISIS, in the same way that George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and the neocons helped create ISIS. So in other words, that's true. They all helped create ISIS. And, you know, they could be considered founding members. But they're considered that because they did the Iraq war in the first place. Because we went into Iraq at all. That broke the region and you know, set the table for later on ISIS to rise out of the ruins. So he's right, but he's right for the wrong reasons. Now, what reasons does he give? The exact opposite. She's a founding member of ISIS because the Obama administration withdrew from certain parts of Iraq. What? Notice how he loves doing revisionist history, but he doesn't want to go back to the actual answer, which is if we didn't do Iraq in the first place, there's almost no chance ISIS would exist in the current state that it does today. So he's willing to go back in time and critique Obama, but George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, the neocons, no, we're just going to say that what they did was right, even though that was the thing that really created ISIS. Like, I love the way these guys think. So, do they not get that once you invaded Iraq, it didn't matter if we withdrew in 2008, it didn't matter if we withdrew in 2011, it doesn't matter if we were still in there full force and we ended up withdrawing in the year 2036, okay? Whenever we got out, after you do the invasion, you broke the region enough where there is going to be this monstrosity that rises up out of it. So you already made your bed when you did the invasion in 2003, and now you're fucking sleeping in it. But, of course, he blames the guy who did this one right thing where he came out of certain places in Iraq. Now, I think Obama has done many things that were wrong, but the things he did wrong were more hawkish, not less hawkish. So, but that's Rudy Giuliani for you. The answer with these guys is always more intervention. And then he goes on to say, you know, yeah, the problem is they didn't do enough in Syria. Are you fucking kidding me? So we've discussed what happened in Syria in detail. A lot of factors go into it. For example, between 2006 and 2011, 75% of Syria's farms failed because of drought, because of climate change. So that pushed all those people into the cities. There were no jobs in the cities. There were no opportunities. There was civil unrest. Mix that with the fact that there was the Arab Spring going on everywhere else, and they rose up, and they went against Assad. Assad basically fought back. And in a violent way, and he's done horrible things as well. And then ever since then, there's been this raging civil war. Now, on the rebel side, this idiot can pretend like, what do you mean? There's nothing but great guys there. Go ahead, look at who are the leading rebel groups right now. Al-Nusra Front, who is Al-Qaeda in Syria, and ISIS. There's the Free Syrian Army, which is a better rebel group, but they're not really all that powerful, and they, in no way am I convinced that they would be the ones who, if Assad was toppled, they would fill the vacuum and create some sort of democratic Syria. No, it's almost certain at this point that it would be some sort of Islamist regime or Salafi jihadist regime, and Saudi Arabia and Wahhabis are backing the rebels. So But his idea is like, no, we should have been involved earlier on and done more. What the fuck are you talking about? And by the way, early on when we were talking about intervening in Syria, we were talking about going against Assad, not ISIS. So which were you in favor of? He's talking about the red line that Obama drew. That was a red line to take out Assad, and then he backed away from it, rightly. But he's like, you should have stuck to that line. But wait, you're talking about fighting ISIS one second, and then the next second you're like, he should have taken out Assad and stuck to the red line. But then ISIS would be even more prominent today. Do you know nothing about the Middle East? But he doesn't know anything about the Middle East. I'm answering my own question here. Hillary Clinton is a founding member of ISIS, and she helped create ISIS, not because of her pro-Iraq war vote, which is true, that did help create ISIS, but because the administration she was a part of when she was Secretary of State, they tried to withdraw from certain parts of Iraq. That's the problem. So what's your answer? I guess perpetual war, perpetual occupation, stay in Iraq forever, and the U.S. should police the entire world. And if you disagree with that, you're some sort of liberal pussy who created ISIS. No, you and the neocons and the knuckle-dragging idiots on the right, you're the ones who are responsible for breaking the region and then ISIS rising up out of those ruins. So spare me. Even when these guys on the right say something that has a grain of truth in it, like Hillary Clinton helped create ISIS, they're right for the wrong reasons. It's not because of her Iraq war vote, which is true, that did help create ISIS. It's because of, when they tried to actually fix the problem a little bit and the Obama administration withdrew from certain parts, that was the problem. We should have just fucking stayed there forever. And while we're fighting ISIS and while we're in Iraq, while we're at it, why not topple one of the main forces that's fighting ISIS, which is Assad and the Syrian troops in Syria? The amount that they don't know about the world is mind-boggling.